So the bottom line that I'm going to push here is that for the innovation economy to be a part of the democratic society, independent journalism needs to cover it. And I think, if something isn't covered by the independent journalism, there's nothing that says that it will be a part of democratic society. It can go on anyway. And this makes us also recognize that journalism is an independent actor in innovation systems. Journalism is a part of society that makes things happen, including innovation, and we have to recognize that. Here are some definitions also to make things clear, because both things, this is going to be discussed here today, both innovative journalism and innovation journalism, right? So when we talk about innovations in journalism, like, how do we publish on the web and how do we earn money when we publish on the web and what are the new things that let us do that, that's innovative journalism. Innovations in journalism. But when we cover journalism or when we cover innovation in journalism, or when journalism covers innovation, I should say, and you cover what's happening with venture capital, whereas if you would write a story about the innovations in journalism and so on, then that is innovation journalism, okay? So the definition of innovation journalism, I'll come back and show this slide once again in a few slides' time, is that innovation journalism is journalism covering innovation. It covers innovation processes and innovation ecosystems. Many people think of journalism covering innovation as something, yes, it covers innovations, that means the outcome of innovation. But innovation is a process, so it's worth covering. It's like you could say political journalism is more than saying yesterday the parliament decided to abolish all taxes. If that's your first news story about it, you feel a bit failed because you'd also like to cover the political process a bit, what led up to this decision. And it's the same thing here. Okay, so to bring it together, when I was a computer journalist in the beginning of the 90s, I met a colleague from a competing publication that covered personal computers, and he told me that in their newsroom they only used typewriters. And so it was this situation, right? And journalists often feel that, it's not their job to be what they write about. So his job was to write about computers, not to sort of work with them himself. And today we can feel that that's a bit silly, and it was a bit silly. And my case here is also that it's probably a bit the same with innovation, that it's very difficult. Innovation is something that's quite difficult to cover if you don't live with it yourself. And especially in the news world of today, this is very relevant. So the bottom line here is that I think that innovation in journalism and journalism about innovation is a good match, just as it's a good match for journalists who cover computers to use them themselves. It becomes better journalism. So I'm going to talk then a bit about first innovation in journalism, which is usually what people discuss mostly today, a bit short. But then I'm going to go into more the innovation journalism covering innovation, like why it has a place in the innovation economy, and why it's actually not introducing itself much faster than what is the case. And then I'm also going to tell a little bit about my program at Stanford. So, what's happening? Well, let's see what's been until now. People sort of associate the content with how it is delivered. So TV is a message in itself. Television, you saw something on television. Well, that is a statement that has a meaning, lots of connotations. It is much more specified than I saw it on the internet. and also that's due to that the guys who sort of had these distribution channels of information, they also control the information that went on them. So if you're a TV company and you control the information chain out to the customer, you also control what information travels on it. And that kind of links these things together too. So it brings meaning to it. Like John is an important guy. He was on television because not everybody can get on television. So very much about the traditional media world has been to have these channels that go out to people and then control the content on them. And that also gives opportunity for people to get pretty far with gatekeeper mentality. Okay. Oh. So now we get the internet. And the internet is not controlled by a single company in the way as, for example, a TV channel is. So, and also the internet is very cheap to send things out on. It's very cheap to put information on the internet, which makes it difficult to for people who have television stations and newspapers and stuff to maintain these infrastructures to sort of defend the costs they have for them. So therefore, what we can foresee is that there's going to be a kind of separation between the medium that carries the information and the actual information. So we can't expect to see in the future like traditionally newspapers, which in some cases even own their own printing presses, and so on. That's just going to go away, and you're just going to have the guys providing the content. Same thing, by the way, happened in the computer industry in the 80s. When the PC came, the big thing was that this was a general platform that anybody could make programs for. So the software industry separated from the hardware industry, and that turned out to be actually pretty good business for the software industry at that time and the hardware industry. Before that, you bought a certain computer because there were good programs for that computer, and the guys who made the hardware were pretty much controlling which software was available for it as well. So you could say that in a way this is happening now to the news industry, that you care less about the infrastructure for delivering the message, and just you get it from anywhere out there, and then you focus on how to make the news. So distribution and access to audience, which was really the key point earlier and the key source of revenue for news industry, that's a diminishing challenge, because you put up a blog, everybody has access to it. So distribution and access is less. And therefore, controlling the infrastructure and the distribution chains, that's going to also get less important. But there's going to be much more competition for people's attention, because all of you're here today, you aren't doing something else, and you have a limited amount of time in your life. Now that's something that's never going to change. So as more and more things can access you, the more competition it's going to be for your attention. So we're very happy you're here today. And that means also that I think that the gatekeeper strategy, saying that, okay, I have a newspaper that comes out, a stack of paper that reaches 1 million people every day, and I decide what's in it, and you can come to my office and try to pitch things to me, that's going to diminish as well, because that stack of paper that goes out to 1 million people is going to become less and less important. So the ability to actually get your attention is going to be worth more and more. So that means also that building a brand is going to be very important. Branding remains.